Fellow South Africans, Bagaetsu, Dumelang. Thank you so much for being here this afternoon. Let me first of all state that when I was elected leader of the DA in May 2015, just over 4 years ago, I went out of my way to set out a strong, a diverse, and an authentically South African organization that ultimately must remove the ANC from national government, and in turn work hard in that government to free the majority of South Africans from the shackles of poverty, indignity, and despair. It was first and foremost my love for this beautiful country and a deeply held conviction for justice that led me into the space of politics. I'm not a career politician, and I've never sought to be one. I've always been driven by a vision to in fact build a united, prosperous, and reconciled South Africa where all citizens have a fair shot in life, where the color of your skin does not determine your future prospects. In order to do so, it was always crucial that the DA evolved and transformed into a party for all South Africans can call home. A truly South African party at the center of politics. I've relentlessly sought to grow the party to all South Africans, and more specifically, Black South Africans. If you want to be a party of national government, you need to challenge and grow amongst all citizens. I indeed fundamentally believed that if the DA was to become a party of government, it needed to look, it needed to feel, and it needed to be a home and a place that would belong to all South Africans. And it's no secret that in fact the DA in its own history has been seen as a party for minorities. That the majority of South Africans, mainly Black South Africans, did not relate to the DA and by extension struggled to trust the DA. This was not the fault of one person, it's the history, it's the context of our politics, it's the context of our nation. And equally so, rather a consequence of the historic journey of the DA and its predecessor parties. However, this needed to change and it required deliberate action. We began to campaign in many communities, specifically in Black communities, to spearhead growth. And I truly enjoyed being a part of that journey and leading that charge. We changed the internal focus of the organization towards grassroots activism and engaged ourselves in communities and established branches in a new terrain. Activists came on board. They were inspired. We were having manifesto launches in stadia, and I'll never forget that actually for many South Africans they felt a sense of ownership and a sense of momentum. So in 2016, I think it was a momentous occasion. We together with so many made history. And the DA in fact removed the ANC from government from the country's largest cities. We formed coalition governments in Joburg, in Tshwane, in Nelson Mandela Bay. We worked hard to restore in fact the dignity of the poor, to fight like anything to be able to give South Africans who are unemployed a sense of hope through an intense focus on job creation and service delivery. I think for South Africa this was a watershed moment, and certainly it was for the party. We more than doubled our governance footprint from 6.5 million citizens to almost 16 million South Africans. We're now living under DA-led governments. Forming these DA governments obviously was crucial to our project and a vital step towards building that trust with South Africans who were by and large skeptical of the DA. I maintain it was the correct decision to form those governments. I've never been more proud of the fact that the city I grew up in under apartheid became a city that now was governed by a DA and a new South African party. We worked hard to make sure that ultimately we could see people for that first and foremost they were South Africans. And I'm grateful for the work that so many worked tirelessly, so many activists, so many South Africans to bring about change in those cities. Despite complex and intricate coalition arrangements. Since its formation, the DA has been seen, perhaps maybe by others, as a regional party, with its political power based on administration and organizational headquarters situated in Cape Town. I argued and still maintain that it's right that the DA needed to move up to here, Mojozi. For if the DA was to challenge for power, it needed to grow outside the Western Cape and establish a political, organizational, and administrative footprint in the country's economic hub. It's why today we are here in this place, Onkululeko House, Freedom House, the party's head office, which is now in Joburg. During the party's 28th Federal Congress, I sponsored what has now come to be known as the Diversity Clause, which cemented diversity as one of the DA's core values. This is truly a very important step in leading the organization towards more inclusivity, demonstrating that the DA will never be a party for one race. The struggle in this country has never been for the removal of a race. It was always the removal of a system. And ultimately that black people, white people, Indian people, colored people could work together in a movement to build a South Africa for all. And you know, even in our own organization, the diversity clause itself sought to say we must remove the obstacles of any exclusion to build greater diversity, to expand opportunities, particularly for young black candidates and activists within the party. In doing so, we were always clear of this one simple fact, that the emancipation of black South Africans is not the enslavement of white South Africans. It's not a zero-sum game. It's not an either-or. It's that together we can indeed build a South Africa for all. In internal elections and in our list processes, I in fact advocated for more South Africans, particularly black South Africans, more women, for greater and cultural diversity. Again, I did so not by picking one race over another, but that ultimately we add to the journey towards a diverse party. This is also about the consideration for geography, making sure we could spread our footprints in communities that we were never there before. Make no mistake, along the journey, we've made some tough decisions. We've fought many battles. And I want to say I fought many battles even with Helen Zille, who's here. Especially around her comments and all of that. But it never deterred away from the respect we shared. And even around her comments around colonialism, we certainly maintained the respect. I maintain that these sentiments certainly did not help build trust between black and white South Africans. And I think they made harder the project, but certainly a project we needed to be engaged in. Because building trust in an organization, especially with voters, does take time. Yet, despite these challenges along the way, we are making great progress and will continue to do so. However, over the past few months, it's become more and more clear to me that there does exist a few within the DA who do not see eye to eye with me. I don't share the vision for the party and the direction it was taking. There have been several months of consistent and a coordinated attack on me and my leadership to ensure that this project failed or I failed. In fact, this extended to a campaign that was run on the front pages of the Afrikaans weekly paper in an attempt to undermine my name and my integrity. This cowardly behavior has put my wife and our kids in great danger as I watched, often in disgust, of the pictures of our home being published in our media and the dangers that went with that. Noma kunzima, noma kuyenyuka. Fellow South Africans, at the end of the day, the DA has always been but a vehicle to pursue and further the vision. I'm still committed to this vision, to inspire hope amongst the millions of South Africans, to seek justice for the wrongs of the past, to restore dignity to the millions, to heal our nation, to break down the barriers of entry into our economy, and to create work and meaningful opportunity, especially for young people, and ultimately to remove the ANC out of government. This is always in pursuit of that dream of building one united, prosperous, and reconciled South Africa for all. There does come a time when leaders must step back from all noise and conjecture and make a sober and honest assessment as to what the future indeed does hold. And I've spent the last few days doing exactly that alongside with my wife. And in the end, we've come to the conclusion that despite my best efforts, perhaps the DA is not the best vehicle which is suited to take forward the vision of building one South Africa for all. And therefore it is with great sadness that in order to continue this fight for the vision I strongly believe and the country I so dearly love, I will today step down as leader of the DA. I'll continue my role as parliamentary leader if the party makes that decision until the end of the year. After which I strongly believe the party must in fact go to Congress in order to elect new leadership. I want to say to every South African that I've engaged with on the road, I've spoken to so many people. I will see you. I'll see you in your communities. I'll see you in your homes, for the struggle continues. I want to thank all the activists that I've worked with. So many people who have been so proud, who have put on DA shirts and even in the face of danger, campaigned for the organization. I want to thank every public representative, members of parliament, members of provincial legislatures, councillors. And I especially want to thank the staff members of the DA. You guys gave your all. You worked tirelessly despite what was happening. In particular, I've worked with so many, the different CEOs, strategists that I've worked with. But also in particular, I'd like to thank every provincial leader I have worked with over the past 4 years. Ke lebogela support ya lona and ndiabulela enkosi. I want to thank James Self, who I know is not here. James worked hard as the Federal Council Chair, and we served together throughout this time. I want to wish the DA success in future, and I also want to say to the new Federal Council Chair, Helen, I want to wish you the best in going forward as Federal Council Chair. I also want to thank my friend and colleague, someone I've worked with, Ethel Trollip, who is here with me today. Ethel and I got elected at the same Congress in 2015, We serve together, and we'll continue our long friendship and our ability that we've always been able to share many moments together. In closing, my family has taken a lot of stress. I want to thank my wife, I want to thank my kids, I want to thank my parents, who, for them, have always inspired hope. That even though they suffered so immensely under apartheid, they never taught us racism. They allowed us to build a mixed marriage. And we're proud of that. They paid the price for me to get my education, and they lived with a dream that said that one day our child can lead in any context. So my mom diabulela, papa ka leboga. And to my wife, Natalie, she's been an incredible pillar of strength. Regardless of how tricky and how difficult it may be, she has been there. Our commitment to this country is that we will continue to fight. We are not stepping away from politics. We will continue to save our nation, to serve our nation, and we will continue with a vision for one South Africa, South Africa for all. And so long as I have lungs, I have air in my lungs, that dream, that fight must continue, and the fight must carry on. Ke a leboga, ndiabulela, enkosi. God bless South Africa. Morena boloka setjhaba sa heso.